Oh my god, I was gonna do this for you. Oh my god, I was going to. Shut up.
The wizard Liz is going to completely destroy her online branding for a man, and that is perhaps the saddest part of the story, is that she does inherently believe that she is more special than the rest of us and that she is the exception.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. The wizard Liz isn't the untouchable girl boss goddess the internet made her out to be. For a while, her face was everywhere, whispering, "I am the prize," like she'd just unlocked divine confidence. The slicked back hair, the marble wall aesthetic, the slow voice, she built an empire out of calm chaos. But lately, her vibe has shifted from self-help sage to walking contradiction. One day, she's preaching peace and detachment. The next, she's glorifying trauma and handing out manipulation tips like it's a masterclass in emotional chess. Then she tops it off by comparing influencers to doctors. That's when even her biggest supporters were like, "Girl, log off and touch some reality." See, her whole rise was lightning fast. One viral clip at 2 a.m., one sad heart on TikTok.
Advice that I can ever offer Wizard Liz at this moment is to get off the internet for a good 6 months to a year. Go to therapy, take your time to heal, because what you went through was extremely traumatic, and it has completely turned over all the beliefs that you've had in yourself, that you are more special and that you are unique.
And suddenly the world was listening. She wasn't loud or overproduced. She was that mysterious model energy girl telling everyone to detach, heal, and stop crying over men who didn't deserve them. For a minute, it felt fresh. She looked like proof that self-respect could go viral. But the thing about building a digital empire on mystery is that eventually people start listening instead of just watching. And once they listened, the cracks showed. One video she's preaching independence and self-love, the next she's teaching followers how to trick their boyfriend into buying designer. You can't sell empowerment and manipulation in the same sentence without looking fake. It's double life energy, a brand that doesn't match its message. The internet has a pattern. It crowns someone, worships them, then flips the switch once the mask slips. Liz became a case study in that cycle. She was marketed as healed, perfect, and enlightened, but that illusion collapses fast when the advice gets toxic. At one point, she literally said people who grow up in abusive homes have an advantage over people who don't. An advantage, as if pain were a trophy. That's not empowerment. That's romanticizing damage. Real survivors don't need someone pretty telling them to be grateful for what broke them.
Someone texted me that I should talk about the wizard Liz. So apparently she is a self-helping influencer slash manifestation coach, and she got cheated on, which is actually really crazy if you think about it.
They need honesty, not sugar-coated trauma philosophy. Because there's a difference between saying your pain made you strong and saying be thankful you were hurt. One heals, the other gaslights. And when most of your audience is young and impressionable, that message is dangerous. Imagine being 16 and hearing that your trauma is your blessing. That's not wisdom, that's manipulation dressed as motivation. Then comes her obsession with detachment. According to Liz, attachment equals weakness. Caring too much means you're ruled by ego. It sounds deep until you realize it's just another excuse to avoid connection. Because let's be real, healthy attachment is what makes love possible. It's what keeps friends close and families functional. Detachment isn't power if it means isolation. But she sells it like the ultimate feminine code: cold, distant, untouchable. It's aesthetic loneliness packaged as enlightenment. That's not confidence. That's emotional numbness on display. And that pattern keeps repeating. One minute she's talking about healing and therapy, the next she's judging other women for having sugar daddies. It's hypocrisy dressed up in silk robes. She'll preach compassion and empowerment, then mock someone for how they survive. You can't call yourself a women's coach while tearing down other women for their choices.
Another thing that happened with the whole situation that I think we should all pay attention to, that's kind of off topic but also on topic, is how Landon went after Abby for having a sugar daddy. That's like one of the first things he went after her for. And then Liz immediately goes after Abby for having sugar daddy. Having a sugar daddy or being an SW is the first thing people do to put other women in danger and to criticize women and to invalidate whatever concerns or whatever abuse that woman has gone through.
That's not protection. That's projection. To be fair, not everything she says is trash. When she talks about discipline, breaking bad habits, or not waiting for life to fix itself, she hits. Those moments sound grounded. But she can't help turning every topic back to looks. No matter what she's discussing, success, healing, spirituality, somehow it circles back to weight loss or beauty. It's always about appearance. And when your whole brand is supposed to be mental strength, but every metaphor leads to body image, that's not empowerment. That's just rebranded insecurity. Her videos start sounding less like therapy and more like diet culture sermons with mood lighting. And you can tell she hasn't actually healed from those issues herself. The way she talks about her body, it doesn't sound free. It sounds haunted. But instead of admitting she's still struggling, she repackages it as advice. That's the part that stings, because people come to her for guidance and leave with guilt. It's coffee with spoiled milk. Still looks nice, still warm, but something's off. You want to believe her, but deep down you know she's still fighting the same demons she claims to have beaten. Then there's the self-made millionaire storyline, the crown jewel of her image. The "I went from broke to rich at 24 through discipline" speech. Sounds cinematic, right? Except broke in her world didn't mean sleeping on floors or skipping meals. It meant not having her own income while dating someone wealthy. That's not the struggle she sells. That's comfort repackaged as hardship. And look, dating rich isn't a crime. Secure the bag if that's what you want. But don't sell that as rags to riches motivation. That's misleading. She wants the credibility of a grind she never lived. Posting one video a month isn't grit. It's privilege pretending to be hustle. There's no shame in having support, but pretending you built everything from dust when you started with safety nets? That's dishonest marketing. And the cruel twist is that her followers actually believe it. They think they can copy her discipline and reach her success, not realizing they're playing a different game entirely.
I'm sorry and I'm gonna say it, but I just don't think that anyone should be taking advice from Wizard Liz at the moment. I really think that she needs to heal and that she needs to stop victim blaming others, because at the end of the day, like, I can only defend someone so far. Abby has been through a lot as well, and she didn't deserve that.
Her comfort wasn't accidental. It was inherited. She didn't climb from zero. She stepped from soft ground. And that's fine. Just stop pretending it's concrete. Then the relationship advice. That's where it goes from questionable to absurd. She teaches women to play games, to manipulate affection like it's strategy. Compare your boyfriend to someone else so he gets competitive. Make him think the bag was his idea. Girl, that's not empowerment. That's training people for toxic relationships. If you want a gift, ask for it. If you want a loving partner, pick one who gives freely. Playing psychological games isn't femininity. It's insecurity in designer heels. And the contradictions keep coming. One video, she brags about her healthy relationship. The next, she's describing stalking and control. She calls it passion. The rest of us call it a red flag. And then she admits the man sent her $10,000 after a fight. Suddenly, the toxicity disappears because the payment cleared. That's not healing, that's hush money disguised as romance. And that's the real problem. Everything becomes transactional. Love, confidence, spirituality, all tied to money and image. She claims independence while preaching dependence.
Able to sit down, look yourself in the mirror and say, I am not more special than the girl before me or the girl after me. This is a pattern that they follow, and there is nothing I could have done to change this. The second she sits down and she tells herself that, that will be the beginning of her healing, okay?
It's confusing and messy, and even her fans can't ignore it anymore. The comments aren't hate, they're exhaustion. People are realizing her advice isn't growth, it's games. But things only get darker when she crosses into spiritual health territory. Liz once claimed diseases are part of your soul's destiny. Destiny. Imagine telling someone battling illness that it's their lesson. That's not spirituality, that's cruelty wrapped in crystals. Pain isn't always purpose. Some things just happen, and pretending otherwise only isolates people who suffer. Then she mentions her therapist, or maybe psychic, hard to tell, saying, "Thoughts aren't real, they're floating entities around you." That's not therapy, that's internet mythology. You can't charge people for enlightenment while pushing pseudoscience, especially when you're recommending supplements and powders without ever saying, "Talk to a doctor first." When you've got millions watching, that silence is reckless because your words carry weight and hers are heavy with misinformation. It's the same cycle we've seen before. The influencer who starts with heart and ends with hubris. She began as a mirror for women searching for strength, and now she's selling them delusion. She built a following on relatability, but now she floats above it, untouched by reality. She calls herself a goddess, but her advice reads like contradictions stitched together with pretty lighting.
Poor girl got cheated on while she was 4 months pregnant. Hopefully this guy gets what he deserves, inshallah. Anyways, this made me ask myself, how can you make sure that your partner is not going to cheat on you? Because obviously as a man, you also want to have a loyal wife next to you. And I came to the conclusion that you simply can't.
One day humility, next day divinity. One day empathy, next day emotional ice. It's confusing, and worse, it's inconsistent. The internet forgives flaws, but not hypocrisy. And then came that comment, the one that broke the illusion completely. Liz said, influencers impact more lives than doctors. More lives than doctors. I had to replay it to believe it. Imagine looking at people who spend a decade saving lives and saying, actually, my TikToks matter more. That's not confidence. That's delusion on Wi-Fi. She even compared YouTube work to a 24/7 job, as if filming once a month equals pulling double shifts in an emergency ward. No shade, but content creation is not open-heart surgery. And calling nurses less impactful than influencers, that's when everyone collectively checked out. It's tone deaf at a level you can't spin. The world's out here working overtime to survive, and she's calling luxury filming a higher calling. That's the kind of privilege that makes people roll their eyes and hit unfollow. Because here's the truth. Not everyone wants to be a brand. Not everyone's dream is digital fame. Some people like their steady paychecks and their 5 o'clock peace. That's not failure, that's stability. But Liz sells this narrative that if you're not hustling 24/7, you're wasting your life. Meanwhile, her entire empire runs on aesthetics and contradictions. It's not empowerment anymore, it's performance. She's become the thing she used to criticize. Out of touch, out of balance, and out of reality. So yeah, maybe Wizard Liz started as a symbol of confidence, but somewhere along the line, the magic turned into marketing. Her advice once lifted people, now it leaves them confused. And when the woman who told the world to detach from what doesn't serve you becomes what doesn't serve them, that's when the spell breaks.